Let's turn our attention to another classic Big Ten rivalry, Wisconsin taking on Iowa. This Hawkeye defense has been as good as it usually is. Special teams too. Offense, a lot of the numbers are much better than last year's offense, but the quarterback play just hasn't been what they've hoped it would be once Cade McNamara came over from Michigan. Brendan Sullivan replaced him in the last game. How did things feel different once he was in there?
It was an intriguing spot to be in, calling that game at Kinnick Stadium over the weekend here on the Big Ten Network, because Cade McNamara started off the game with a high-quality first series, led to a field goal initially, and then had a couple of series in a row where they struggled. Now, we did know going in that Iowa was going to rotate quarterbacks. They had actually shared that with us a bit. And Brendan Sullivan was set to come in, but Cade McNamara got banged up. And when he came out of the locker room in the second half, didn't have his helmet in his hand anymore, was still there rooting his teammates on, was still there dapping up and enjoying Brendan Sullivan. This type of fire that Brendan Sullivan plays with, where after completing a pass, he outraces his tight end to pick up blocks in the open field. That type of competitive fire that Sullivan has shown throughout the season has really infused some extra juice into Iowa's offense throughout the year. Now, as the full-time starter, because Cade McNamara not even on the depth chart this week for the Hawkeyes. So Brendan Sullivan will get his first start for the Hawks this weekend. What does that look like against a Wisconsin defense that has really started to play well and that has found an enhanced pass rush over where they were earlier in the season? It makes life really difficult on the opposing QB. It's got to be about Caleb Johnson. It's got to be about the offensive line for Iowa, just to make sure that they're not going to have to put the full load of the offense on the throwing acumen of Brendan Sullivan, but utilize his mobility. It may be a slightly different Iowa offense this weekend, utilizing the QB run game, moving the pocket in an enhanced way with Sullivan at QB versus what they were doing with Cade McNamara.
They'll do it against a Badger team that I know lost this past weekend to Penn State, but generally speaking, the last month, it's felt like the Wisconsin of old. It's felt like watching a Wisconsin team that you thought Luke Fickell could be in charge of.
And the run game, the success they've had in that phase has been a big part of why, while it still does have kind of the Phil Longo wrinkle to it, because the way that Braden Locke has stepped in at quarterback, they will mix in some tempo. They will mix in a bit of no huddle and hurry up and accentuate that just because it suits the current quarterback, Braden Locke, in a way that maybe Tyler Van Dyke wasn't as comfortable with early in the season. And now that they've been able to find out, last weekend notwithstanding against Penn State, one of the top run defenses in the country, but Wisconsin has found a way with Tawee Walker to more consistently run the football, and especially when he gets into the open field, he's been a home run hitter at running back for the Badgers. So that'll be probably the crux of this contest. Will the mixed-in tempo accentuate Wisconsin's run game, or will the QB mobility for the Hawkeyes accentuate what Caleb Johnson, one of the top running backs in the country, can do against that Wisconsin Badgers front seven? Which team can scheme their high-level running game into some explosiveness, into some points? That's really what's going to tell the tale. So it's interesting that Wisconsin-Iowa, the run game is normally the main storyline going in, but there are wrinkles with how these teams are going about kind of scheming up the run that's a little bit different than what we've historically seen.
By the way, before we go, I have the stat of the weekend in the Big Ten.
Should I write it down?
Iowa's record in the month of November, the last 19 games. Take a guess.
Last 19 games. 16-3.
18-1. Wow. They have won 18 of their last 19 games in the month of November.
You weren't lying. That's a good one.
Thank you. Well, you don't know if I was lying because you don't have the truth, but I was telling you the truth. That is their actual record, 18-1.